story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on the Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. They always have been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Crypto Live. It is me, TA Tim, once again. I know a lot of you guys are asking, where is Jebb? Jebb is not here today, but he did text me this morning that he thinks he will be back tomorrow. For those of you who don't know, he's been sick for a while now, and off and on, and then some stuff happened last week that was pretty heavy, but we are hoping to have him back. No, he is not dead. No, we did not buy him out. No, he is not invested. I saw the funniest rumor I saw was that he had invested in Three Arrows Capital and has lost everything. He was not invested in Three Arrows Capital. That is not what happened to Jebb. He should be back tomorrow or at least some point this week. But thank you so much, everybody who loves him and has been praying for him along with the rest of our team. He will be back, but I'm still going to be running the show today. It's a great day. It is Optimistic Monday. And guess what? There's a lot to be optimistic about when you're looking at those cryptos over there. We're going to be looking at a lot of different things, looking at the charts, looking at some news. We're going to be talking about something coming out of Senator Warren's mouth. And no, I'm not related to her in any way whatsoever. It's just unfortunately we share the same last name. But she has some thoughts about crypto, and they might not all be bad. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. We're going to be joined today by Frankie Candles doing some TA, so get ready. I know sometimes last week we did some shorter TA shows. Today is a TA show. We're going to be looking at some charts, and as you guys might have seen in that title, as much as I still think that we probably will see a teen number again for Bitcoin, there is a possibility that Bitcoin could run back up to $30,000. That's right, you heard me right. $30,000. We're going to show you why that is and a lot more. But first, I am joined by two of my top 10, it's moving up still, 10 favorite people in this world. I got T-Shroom on my right. I got Smay in front of me. How are you gentlemen doing this morning?
I'm feeling very lean, very clean, and better than I deserve, Tim.
Wow. I thought the third one was going to rhyme with it too. I thought you were going to find a way to get that one to wrap in there.
No.
Not today, though.
Not today.
Good try. How about you, Smay? How you doing this morning?
I gotta say, I'm better than I deserve.
Wow. That was a good impersonation.
Creative.
He's a bro dude.
And not only am I better than I deserve, I'm better than being better than I deserve. I'm doing so great.
That's good.
So, I am through the roof in wonderful things. Also, I'm in the top 10 now, so that's very pleasing to me.
Yeah.
Is that positivity compelling you to do anything, Smay?
Yeah, you know,
It's just something I was wondering.
Actually, that's funny that you mentioned that. One of my favorite activities in the morning is to read green names.
Wow.
And so, yes, that positivity has invited my soul to read green names. So I'm going to do that. We have Grainriff Incorporated, Gia S, Sultan of Salt, JoJo, Elliot Locke, Colin McDonald, Cyberfix Online, Win Peoples, Elliot Locke, Eye of the Beholder, Mitch Shaw.
Very nice.
Who else we got here? Greg Jenkins. That's a new one. I like that name. Greg Jenkins. Who else we got here? We got JoJo. We got Kelly Kellum. I love that guy.
Love that
Kelly
guy.
Kellum.
The Kellmeister.
Kelly Kellum. I love you, Kelly Kellum.
Whoa.
I just want to say that. We have Colin McDonald. We have Mike Markle. We want Go CJC and Dr. Fuzzy Eyeball. I got to say, hold on. I'm going to circle back to Kelly Kellum. Kelly Kellum gives the best hugs. And I want to give Kelly Kellum a big hug. Then we got Tristan Williams. Shout out to you. Anyways, back to you, Tim.
You know, I saw some comments in chat there about my hat. Yeah, I got a hat on again. Those of you who don't know why they're saying again, it's because a lot of last week I didn't wear a hat because I didn't feel like it. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow, though, to solve my problems. I told you guys the reason I started wearing a hat in the first place and just kind of became a thing was I didn't sometimes I take a shower at night and then I go to sleep. And those of you know, when you take a shower at night, T-Shim, you can tell us all about this. When you take a shower at night, and then you sleep on your pillow, sometimes you wake up with really bad bedhead.
Yeah, you're a little fermented.
And you're forced to decide, do I want to take another shower or do I just put a hat on? So today was let's just put a hat on day.
A little bit of bedhead.
Yeah.
A little bit of bedhead.
A little bit of bedhead. See, if you just got to be like T-Shroom and you won't even have that problem.
Tim, does that help or inhibit your TA abilities, the bedhead?
We'll have to find out.
Why
I don't
don't you-
know.
why don't
I've
we
never
do-
done any intensive studying of the matter.
Do a bedhead reveal.
Right now?
Yes.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty
A
bad.
I'll do.
bedhead
Can
unboxing.
May I do a bedhead reveal?
Let's jump back into the show because the people came here to hear. We got our coffee in. I think coffee is done at this point. Let's jump into some crypto. Speaking of crypto, you know what crypto is great at doing? Making you money, and you got to have some crypto to make some money.
Really?
Especially at the bottom of bear markets. The best time to get into crypto is the bottom of bear markets. That's kind of the situation we're sitting in right now. And if you're not being paid in Bitcoin, what are you doing? And you know how you get paid in Bitcoin no matter what company you work for? You sign up with Hedge. That's right, Hedge. Get it down the link in the description below. It allows you, no matter what your job is, to get paid from your company in crypto. It goes straight, bam, from their account into your wallet.
Bam.
You can set it up for direct deposit. It is the solution we have been waiting for. Go sign up with it today. You guys have heard me talk about Hedge before. I love it. Smay loves it. T-Shroom, do you love it?
I do.
You do love it.
I
Okay,
do feel very fondly about Hedge.
Good. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our market pulse. The first thing that we definitely need to cover is the fact that crypto is once again back over $1 trillion market cap. Go to my screen right here, Smay, on Coin Market Cap. You guys just see that number right there. That's really, it was kind of it's kind of gloomy there for a while when we were sitting there with a 9 in the what would that be? The 9? Is that 9 digits? Yeah, I'm guessing so.
I believe so.
100 billion would be
So
9 digits.
why don't we count the digits?
Let's not do it. I think we're going to go with the fact that it's 9. Is it not 9? Is it more?
That's 10, right?
Is it? No.
So we're gonna go ahead and count those digits.
Yeah, 9 would only be
Yeah.
900 billion or
We're good.
900 million. 10 would be billion, I believe.
Wow, I'm really bad at this. Is it really more digits than that? This is bad. Now we actually do have to count. 3, 6, 9. You're right. Holy crap, it's 12. I'm off.
Well, because 3 times 3
I'm
is
off
9.
by a whole 3 numbers.
You get 3 groups of digits.
Yeah, so
in
that's
Wow.
why I said let's go ahead and
All
count
right,
those. Numbers.
let's go. Thank you, Smay, for correcting my math this morning. That is not the only thing. Wow, that was rough.
Oh, I think we have our first data point. The bedhead does not help the TA.
It does not. It is. In
We
fact,
have our
it has
first
thrown off. It has
data.
thrown off my entire day now. 'Cause I got to regroup and get back to some news. All right, we're gonna blow past that one. For all of my Cardano fans out there, I know there's been some speculation that potentially Vasil hard fork will be delayed again, but one of the developers has come to debunk this. There was a report this morning at FX Streets. Cardano Vasil hard fork is right on time. Developer debunks the possibility of delay. Just in case you guys are wondering what that's about, there was a tweet that went out from, how do you even say it? Sue Gigs, $, Sue Gigs, I don't know. But saying, looking at these issues, Vasil might not be ready on mainnet at the end of July. Another 2 to 4 week delay, I guess. However, according to, how would you even say that name? Tors, I don't know. K Tors was quoted as saying most of the bugs reported here concern the Cardano CLI, which is just the command line utility and the Haskell high-level interface. So far, the node itself, i.e. the ledger network and consensus bits, seem pretty stable. So as it stands right now, the developers seem, you can go off my screen now. The developers seem to be optimistic that the end of July, will still be the launching port for Vasil hard fork. There is some FUD out there saying that they might delay. And here's the truth. Before we transition to the next story, even if it does delay, the reason why I'm personally okay with it delaying again is because I believe in the mission that team is working on, and that is that they don't want to release a product that is not ready to be utilized. So if it delays again, it is because they are not satisfied with where it is and they want it to be perfect for every single person that uses it. But according to them, they're still optimistic. We will see that at the end of July. So stay tuned, Cardano holders. This doesn't seem to have affected the price because Cardano is now sitting and pushing closer to that 50-cent mark once again. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that Vasil hard fork, see if that continues to be delayed or will it come out as promised. Vladimir Putin also is now banning digital payments in Russia. And I'm going to throw this one over to T-Shroom to give us all the important information we need about that. But, is that an important story or is it kind of unimportant, T-Shroom?
I think it's somewhat important. And if you want to go over to my screen, I have the sub-headline for that. So yeah, Vladimir, he has signed a bill that adds to previous prohibition against cryptocurrency payments in the country, of course, being referred to there as the Federation of Russia, the Russian Federation. It bans the use of digital securities and utility tokens as a means of payment for goods, services, and products in Russia. In February, Russia's Ministry of Finance introduced a bill to parliament that would regulate cryptocurrencies in the country. This is in contrast to the view of the Bank of Russia, which has pushed for crypto activity to be banned. Russia has come under scrutiny this year for its alleged use of cryptocurrencies to evade sanctions following its invasion of Ukraine. So I would say this is really not important for the crypto community. I think it's very important if you are a crypto enthusiast living in Russia. Very important. And so you would probably hate this headline. Russia was trending towards positively adopting crypto before it decided, its government decided to invade the Ukraine. But, things have turned around because of the sanctions from the West that seem to be necessary. And so now, it's not looking good for Russians. And from the crypto community standpoint, I don't know how much mining and how much hashing goes on in Russia, but that could decrease the decentralization of mining, and of hodling Bitcoin generally. So that's not great for crypto. But I think that the effects here are pretty marginal. So yeah. Somewhat important.
We'll keep posting on that because it has been kind of back and forth even in Russia. I mean, when that war started with Ukraine, even within 1 week, it seems like the central bank in Russia kept going back and forth on what their thoughts of crypto was. I know at one point, Vladimir Putin was very pro-crypto. So I think there's a lot more to develop with that story. We will keep you guys posted on what is happening over there. Speaking of other countries, the Indian finance minister echoes central bank's crypto ban call, but says that global collaboration is required. And I gave this article a quick read, but I'm going to throw it back to you, T-Shroom. What are the parts that we need to look at in that article itself? And I know India's been that's another country. It's gone back and forth. They ban crypto, they unban it, they ban it, they unban it. What is this article kind of detailing?
Yeah, this time they're reiterating a previous determination. So finance minister, I'm not going to try to read her name, but she made a comment in answer to a series of written questions from a member of parliament about cryptocurrency legislation. The parts that I found important are down here. Indian finance minister, again, has reiterated the stance of India's central bank, RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, to ban cryptocurrencies in the lower house of parliament, but said that no legislation is possible without significant international collaboration. Another part that I felt was important was she said that the RBI is of the view that cryptocurrencies should be prohibited. So that's the reiteration of a previous determination. But she says, again, up at the top, that they can't really make any headway in banning it or banning it until there's international collaboration. So it's probably not going to happen, but the government is very against crypto. So, but I think that they understand it a little bit, or at least some of their key aides understand a little bit, that you can't just ban crypto. It has to be a globally collaborated ban. So at least they understand to some extent. Whereas in Russia, they don't understand that you can still, own, and you can even still trade crypto through VPNs. As we obviously.
Well, to be fair, it might not be that Russia doesn't understand that. It might just be that they're just going to make it illegal anyways and try to crack down on it.
Right, and it will deter some people from getting into it, but people who are in the crypto economy and rely on crypto to make an income, they're not going to they're going to either move out of Russia or figure out how to sustainably use VPNs. So anyway, I think this one's a little bit bigger because India is a much larger economy. And there's a lot of developers in India. There's a lot of crypto projects in India, and they're not going to be able to. They'll be deterred. They'll be slowed, and their development will be frozen in this period. But I don't think that they will go fully into banning it, because it looks like they have this international collaboration obstacle to banning that they're claiming here, and so I think that's going to impede their ability to ban it for their citizens.
Well, let's transition stories, though, because those are two bad stories. Let's go back to optimism, because we got Optimistic Monday here, and that is that we are getting a report from BlackRock executives saying that Bitcoin will be a part of everyone's portfolio. I'm going to throw it back to you, T-Stream. Once again, is there anything detailed in that article that everyone needs to know about, or is it just kind of that surface value of what the article's headline is?
No, I think that there's some interesting nuggets here. While appearing on a podcast, Dowd, the former executive of BlackRock, Dowd, reiterated that once Bitcoin matures, it will likely beat gold due to unique features such as the ability for it to be digitally transacted. Imagine that. He stated that Bitcoin's growth journey, characterized by rises and falls, is actually helping the flagship cryptocurrency ability to stay longer. And then he also is a quote, he likens it to Amazon. I liken crypto to the .com era where 90% of those companies went to zero. 10% of them became Amazon. It's the job of the crypto folks to figure out what is the crypto Amazon. I think Bitcoin is obviously in the running for some of these other coins. Good luck. So he's a realist here, but he's also thinking of Bitcoin as a new Amazon, comparing it in that way, and kind of likening it to the .com bubble, as so many other analysts have in the crypto space.
Well, before we transition into some TA, there are some dates coming up that everybody needs to know about. And just so you guys know, we're about to bring on none other than Frankie Candles to do some technical analysis with myself here in just a minute. So if that's something that you love, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. But dates that you guys need to be prepared for. So July 19th, that is tomorrow, the EU core inflation, which is forecasted for lower, it will be coming out. July 20th, the day after, the UK inflation, which again, so we'll have more numbers on that July 20th. The 21st, we'll have the European Central Bank rate decision, forecasted right around about 25% increase. We'll definitely talk more about that here in a couple of days. And then the last date that is coming up that everyone needs to circle on their calendar is July 27th, when the US interest rate decision is made.
It's a big one.
With that being said, though, let's go ahead and transition. Let's bring on old Frankie Candles. Frankie, how you doing this morning?
Hey, what's going on, Tim? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Seeing a little bit of green price action for Bitcoin is always a good thing. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, I'm excited to get you on here, and we need to get you on here more often because I love getting to watch your evening show. Those of you who don't know, he has a show every single evening, right? From Monday through Friday.
Yep, Monday through Friday, 5:45 p.m.
And you guys just go ham on those charts with trading and stuff. So it's great stuff. I wanted to get your take. So let's go ahead and jump over. I want you to jump on the charts first and tell me what you are seeing. I know not only from a trading perspective, but just overall, what are you seeing happen on the charts? Because I know you, like myself, have been somebody talking about those lower teens, but we can't ignore this pump, this rally that's going on right now that could lead us a little bit higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, obviously we are expecting somewhat, expecting to make lower lows eventually, but as you said, we cannot ignore this green price action. And in my opinion, I've been waiting for this relief to come in for quite some time. Like I think a lot of other analysts have been expecting. And we've just basically been coming down in a straight line. We basically get that big impulsive move. Let me just go ahead and share my chart real quick with you guys. Hopefully you can see that. Bada boom. Okay, so essentially what I am looking at here is, if you zoom out on, you go to the daily time frame, one of the higher time frames, you can just kind of see here. Let me just turn this VPVR off. And yeah, if you just come over here, you can kind of see that, Bitcoin has just been absolutely loving these bear flags. We get a big impulsive move down, right? You get the big move down, boom. You get the bear flag being created. Everybody was calling higher highs here. All anybody ever saw here was higher highs, but you can't ignore it. You want to keep things simple. This is what I preach a lot on my channels. Keep it simple, right? Mm-hmm. If it looks like a bear flag, smells like a bear flag, probably a bear flag. So you get the impulsive move, create the bear flag, boom. Another impulsive move, create another bear flag, boom. And now it looks like we could be creating another bear flag or even an ascending triangle here. Now, one thing I was mentioning on my channel was, if this is a bear flag, there is a lot of things different. And the things that are making me feel bullish, and the reason I think that this pump could have some legs on it, is on the weekly chart. The higher time frames are actually looking pretty good, and you can't ignore that, right? For my market cipher people out there, we do have the double green dot confirmed on the weekly chart. This has marked bottoms very accurately in the past. Now, it marked the actual bottom of the bear market in 2018. But in 2014, 2015, we actually got 2 weekly green dots. So it's not a one green dot. Definitely we're going to the moon. Mm-hmm. But it could mark at least a local bottom. Now, just going into the daily chart here, kind of my thoughts here, like I said, just because of that, as well as the 6-day having these double green dots, or snake eyes, as Crypto Face calls them, these are also a very strong bottom indicator, whether it's a local bottom or the bear market bottom. As you just said, Tim, we do think we will come down and get lower lows, but, could be marking a temporary bottom here. You also have on the 12-hour, as far as market cipher goes, money flow crossover into the green on the 12-hour, pretty strong bullish indicator. And then also, like I just mentioned, if you want to keep it a little more traditional, This could somewhat be an ascending triangle. It looks a little more like a bear flag to me. But just to give you guys, just provide a little bit of value here, some levels that I am watching. Let me just get rid of this ugly line here. Some levels I'm watching for this pump. I do think that it is possible and likely, being that the higher time frames look so good, that we could get some legs on this. We could see some green here in July. And if we could get past this 23K level where I have this purple box, I do think it's likely, that we could work our way up, all the way up to possibly retest the macro golden pocket here. And the bottom of this is coming in at about, 26,700 about. And I do think that's in the cards, between 25 and 28K, I do think is in the cards. And one more thing before we throw it back to you. I do talk about this on my channel a lot too. If you pull up your visible range volume profile, you will notice that you have a big gap in volume here, right? You have a high volume node right here and a high volume node right here with not much in the middle. Now, with that being said, if we break this resistance, price action could start moving pretty quickly through this low volume gap here up to that macro golden pocket.
Actually, that's exactly the same chart that I was looking at when I was doing some of my TA this morning. That VPVR is no joke. And I'm going to pull up on my screen and even show you guys some of my concepts. And you can see it, Frankie. I want to hear what you have to say about it. But pull up that VPVR. You guys see these massive windows here where it starts getting a little rough on the VPVR, which is where, 28.6, I think you kind of mentioned that 28.6. That definitely is a level to watch, not only because the VPVR is saying that. You also see that's the bottom side, kind of where we almost had this like flat range back when we were trading between May and early June. That 28.6 is significant, but I do think that potentially we could get as high as up to even about somewhere beneath that 31.4, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But you guys see that massive amount of volume right there, that VPVR showing you where there's been a lot of trading. That's what Frankie's talking about here. We have a lot down here around 20,700. We got over that. You guys have noticed a couple days ago we were below that. This is the one that I kind of told you guys, hey, that's some strong resistance. If we can break it, we got some upside, but if we don't, there's resistance there. Well, guess what? We broke it, and now we're working through some thick stuff. I do think 23,000 is the next level to beat, and there's no guarantee. There is no guarantee that we will break through 23, but there is momentum coming, and we've had some shorts liquidated here very recently. If we can blast through that $23,000 level, like Frankie said, there's just not a whole heck of a lot until you get to around that $26,000 level, and then even there's not really that much. It really starts getting a little bit more thick around 27 and 28, getting closer to $29,000 level. This line right here, the reason I have the 31.7 or 31.6 highlighted, this is the last peak we had back in June. And why is this significant? Because we were to pull up, I'm going to take my VPVR down because it's just kind of getting in the way at this point. If we were to go back to our daily chart and look at this date, you guys will see this RSI peak right here, June 7th, give or take. That is that peak right there, the last peak we had before that big dip. If at the moment our RSI is above it, but it's not done climbing, we could get as high as to that level and still set up bearish divergence. And this is what I want to stress to everybody. Just because we're rallying right now does not mean that those calls of 15,000, 12,000 are completely off the table. It does push them down the road and could continue to develop a reason why we don't end up going down there. Like we've said many, many times, nobody knows what the absolute bottom is. It could already be in. It's just not very likely. That being said, though, you got to enjoy these pumps while they last. And what we're seeing right now is, we're stuck below 23. Wait for 23 to be broken. If we break 23 right around here, I'll go ahead and put a flat level right there at 23. If we can break through 23, watch out. Watch as we kind of clear through a lot of this space and potentially maybe even get up down around $30,000. Only problem is we will end up setting, if that is the case, let's say this price goes up and gets all the way up here, the RSI is going to continue to climb. That will set very, very clear RSI divergence, bearish divergence, and that will send us back down to the downside. I'm going to throw it back to you, Frankie, and hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just share my screen one more time here. Now let me just make this bigger. I would 100% agree with that. I do want to be clear. I always warn people, you want to be very careful in times like this because, if we do see a really decent pump here in July with, this current pump, if it has legs, be ready for the perma bulls to be coming out and telling you that all-time highs are incoming and they're, oh my God, we're going to 100K. I knew it was the extended cycle. They're going to be coming out of the bushes, and be aware and be wary of these people, not necessarily the people, but be wary of these hopium claims of making new all-time highs, because I'm telling you right now, they're going to come. I want to be clear in my statements. I agree 100% with you, Tim.
Yeah.
If we work our way back up here towards the macro golden pocket between 26 and 29, even 30, if you pull the VPVR back up, getting into the low 30,000s near this high volume node right here. If we wind up coming up there, I would be looking out for those divergences. I tell my community the exact same thing. Watch out for the bearish divergences, because I do think this is where all the liquidity is going to be. They're going to want to come and grab it, and that's where we come to make those lower lows. And for anybody curious, I am looking between about 12 and 10K for my lower low. Also want to warn people. When the whole herd, now everybody thinks we're going lower. You just want to be aware. A lot of times, when everybody thinks it's going one way, Bitcoin likes to trick us. But those currently right now are my levels and kind of my thoughts on where I think we're headed.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, Frankie, is that a lot of people almost live in this state of thinking if we rally from here, that's got to be it. That's got to be the bottom. And that just cannot be further from the truth. This is actually a part of the play that a lot of manipulators will use, is to give that fake pump, that rally. I've been discussing that for multiple months now. Is, hey, don't throw your everything in with every single rally, because a lot of times those are fakes. Even if you go back and you look at past rallies, because if someone might say, like right now, you can go back to my screen real quick. Smay, let's say we were to rally back up. Let's just say let's say $27,000, right? $27,000. That would be a 50% pump. If we were to get back up, closer around 28 or so, we're sitting at 63%. If we were to get back up around 30, we're sitting around, a 70% pump. People are going to say, oh, that's a 70% pump. Isn't that, we're good. The bear market's over. Well, that's just not necessarily how it works. If you guys were to go back just to the last bear market, look at several different pumps that happened throughout this rally here, or throughout this bear market here. We came down, crashed all the way to about, $6,000, rallied 97% back up to 11,000. Then, of course, we crashed again, and then we rallied once again. We rallied back up over 50%, and this happens several times within a bear market. So anyone who's saying, hey, Tim, Frankie, if we rally back up to 30,000, does that mean the bear market's over? Unfortunately, no, it is not, and we've seen that kind of stuff happen before. It's not time to go and jump in on the FOMO train and feel like you're going to miss out and end up getting wrecked once again. And I think it's funny because, I've gotten to interact with Frankie several times, and there are a lot of, the basics of technical analysis are there. Almost every single analyst uses those. But I do think it's really cool how you can actually take many, many different routes, because there's lots of things that Frankie uses I don't use. Frankie uses Market Cipher. I'll look at Market Cipher every now and then, but I'm a Lux Algo guy. You guys know that. And guess what? I loved how he showed that double green dot. What'd you call it again, Frankie, on Market Cipher?
Snake eyes.
Snake eyes?
Snake eyes.
Well, okay, so that's calling, time to rally. What T-Stream was noticing this morning, Lux Algo, we just had a buy signal on Lux Algo calling for profits of what areas? About 26,000 to about 31,000. That's the profit zone on Lux Algo right now. So we're seeing a confluence at the moment of a lot of different charts saying, hey guys, there's a good chance we could have some upside here over the next couple of weeks. The only problem is this does not cancel out the downsides as well. And I would love it. I would love to sit here and tell you guys, hey guys, the bottom is in, we're done. It's nothing but up from here. I know Frankie would love to say that, because guess what? If we could tell you that with any type of confidence, you can go off my screen now, Smay. If we could tell you that with any type of confidence, that would equal more views. That would equal more subscribers. People would love everything we ever talk about. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. And I know Frankie and I know us. We're just the type of people. We're gonna have to give it to you straight. We're gonna have to tell you what we think, and even if we're wrong, which a lot of times, sometimes I'm rooting against myself. Sometimes I'm like, Tim, please be wrong with what you're looking at on the charts right now. But I got to tell you guys what I see, and I know Frankie's the exact same way.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, it is pretty powerful to see the confluence between all these different indicators, right? I use a lot of Market Cipher. We're actually starting to use a lot of Lux Algo as well, and we are absolutely loving Lux Algo. But like you said, between that take profit, level being right in that same range that I'm looking at based off of the traditional TA and Market Cipher, and double green dots on the 6-day, double green dot on the weekly, as well as if you just want to go completely traditional free indicator, the RSI on the weekly is super oversold, starting to curve around, marking a potential bottom here. So there's tons of things pointing that we could be finding some relief here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's it's 10:30. we knew that this was going to run a little long. Let's get into some chat, and let's get some questions not only for us, but for Frankie as well. I want Frankie to be able to engage with our audience. So, T-Stream, did you record all of our chats?
Yeah, there's a couple. So, Win Peoples, member for 11 months, and a Jebb Youngling said, my prayers with Jebb. Please let him know he is sorely missed. And Crypto Couples, member for 9 months, Jebb Youngling, said, good morning, gentlemen. I heard Charles H. mention Mithril this weekend. Looks like it 5x'd following his statement.
Mithril.
What are your thoughts on Mithril? So
I don't know if I have any. Frankie,
Isn't
have
that
you ever
the
heard
Lord
of
of the Rings armor?
yeah, it is.
I have never heard of that actually.
So
I get asked all the time of altcoins, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I could take a look at the chart, but
that? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. Sorry about that.
And so none of that is really something we can really sink our teeth in too much. But I did find a chat from David Buckley. He said, if inflation has peaked and Fed pivots, we have our bottom already. You know, that's a statement.
Yes.
But, I think that does open up a good conversation. So you guys
Yeah,
can,
no,
can take it
just
from
so
there.
Frankie, you, I'm assuming you are. You're familiar with well, I don't know if he was the first one. I'm not going to give him maybe that much credit, but I know Gareth Soloway has come out recently talking about how he thinks inflation has peaked at this point. That at worst we're going to continue to move sideways. At best, it starts to go down. First question: do you believe that is? Do you think that's possible? And second of all, then following that up, do you think that it's actually what's happening, and we're going to actually see inflation get better?
I mean, listen, I definitely think it's possible. You know, another thing you want to realize, actually, when I had Gareth on my channel, we kind of talked about, he mentioned, you know, when the herd starts thinking one thing, you might not want to follow suit.
Yeah.
And, you know, with the whole inflation thing, you know, everybody is crying now that, you know, inflation is going to get so bad, so bad. Now, everyone's so bearish on the macroeconomics, you know, and you hear a lot of people, you know, when, you know, is there a recession looming? A lot of the people who have been in the game for a long time are like, when people say that, we are in a recession, right? So, you know, maybe it is one of those things where, you know, people think it's about to get really bad, but really it's kind of already been done. And we kind of just, you know, crab sideways and then eventually gets better. But I do think the Fed pivoting is kind of what we're waiting for at this point. You know, whether that happens very soon, we will find out, like you said, on the 27th. We have the big Fed meeting, so we will find out soon. But I do think that is 100% possible. And one thing you want to remember is Gareth Soloway has been in this game for a very long time, so he definitely, you know, he's seen some stuff. Speaking of that, I do just want to mention, you guys also want to remember that the Bitcoin bear markets can be brutal, right? I think a lot of people think that, you know, if this was the actual bottom, they feel like they missed the boat and we're just going all the way back up to all-time highs. You want to realize that if you've been through bear markets, they could be brutal, they could be long. They shake everybody out with violent moves down, and then any retail that's left in the market, they just bore them out with some sideways action. So I know a lot of people are probably feeling FOMO right now, especially if we get this pump, they're going to feel like they missed the bottom. But just know bear markets can be brutal. So you know, time is on your side.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You know, I was doing a show last week with Wendy O, and we talked about she gave that fact. I think I mentioned it on the show with Nick Dye Thursday night when I was on with you, but inflation at the moment is probably looking a lot more like 17%. Those numbers are a little bit off, and you know we're getting close to. I think back in the 80s we peaked out around 18 or so percent. So you know, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And I think something you said right there is very, very important when you talk about how they can be these bear markets can be brutal with that sideways action. You know, even going back to 2018. You want to go to my chart real quick, Smay? You know, look at what we had back in 2018. We had all of this rallying, all this. I'm on the weekly chart, by the way, so this is not like a couple of days here. This is over multiple months, over a year. We just bounced back and forth sideways, hitting this flat level right here around 6,000-ish area, but continuously setting lower tops until finally we crashed down at around $3,000. But of course, that then quickly led back up into a rally. Of course, you know, the pandemic came in and ruined that rally from going straight to the top. But, you know, just reiterating what Frankie's talking about, he's absolutely right. You know, just because we see these rallies, remember, I just showed you guys that 97% rally, that 50% rally, all those happened, you know, right there bouncing off of that 6,000. And then we still had a significant drop here. Now, I do think it's important. Not every bear market looks the exact same. I've seen, you can go off my chart now. A lot of people just say, oh, well, look back at this bear market. I'm going to do the exact same thing. It's like, well, there are similarities always, but to say that we're going to match every single candle for candle in the way it it plays out is probably not right. So there's still a whole lot of future of unknowns on these charts, but we're here with you every single day walking through it. If you guys think you guys are frustrated by this market, try being a crypto influencer. It's almost like double the frustration.
Yeah, we've got one more chat that I thought may provoke some conversation as well. This is from the Phil Ossifer, member for 9 months, Jebb Youngling. He asks, Polygon to the moon? ?
Well, that's a good question. So I'll let you answer that one first, Frankie. What do you think about Polygon?
That is what it seems like right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I could share my chart one more time here. Just pull it up. We could take a look at Matic real quick. I was looking at it this morning. Yeah, it is on an absolute tear. Yeah, I mean, it looks really good right now. You are coming up to some resistance. You can kind of clearly see that. You just have some technical resistance right here. I'll just go ahead and put a horizontal line there for you guys. So right now, I know this thing has been going absolutely nuts. Now, obviously, coming up to some resistance here, I would expect a little bit of a cool off. Maybe you smash right through it. I haven't had time to do some in-depth analysis here, but if you pull up the 4 hour here, you can see that your VWAP is coming down, which typically is indicative of a cool off period.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times what I like to do for, trying to figure out where price can pull back from or pull back to is you can pull some local fib levels price typically loves when you pull these local fibs, whether it's from here, the whole move up or over here. I kind of play around with them. I find high volume nodes. I try to see where the confluence is, but price loves to pull back to local 382 Fibonacci retracements as well as the golden pocket. So this is kind of a good way. I've been able to catch some really good. If you miss, this is kind of. If you miss the original move up, you can kind of pull these local fib levels to try to find some levels that you would feel comfortable trying to get into longs off of for bullish continuations. But we are coming up to some resistance. The 4 hour looks like it does want to cool off a little bit. But again, just generally, things do look a little more bullish right now. I do think we can see a lot of stuff come up in the month of July. And real quick, with that being said, I want to. You can see that Ethereum is breaking out a bit more than Bitcoin. And I think this is important because Bitcoin has been leading. Ethereum has been leading Bitcoin on these bullish signals, right? Ethereum confirmed the weekly green dot before Bitcoin, and a lot of the money flow crossovers that we see happen, Ethereum has been leading that, right? So now that we have a clear breakout of the range here, a clear breakout of this range on Ethereum, I am feeling pretty hopeful that Bitcoin is going to follow suit. And again, for Ethereum, anybody who's curious, kind of targets for here between about 16 and 1800 is in the cards, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, no, I think you're talking about the Matic deal and then Ethereum going with it. Of course, this is on the news, the heels of that Disney deal that Matic just struck. And as Frankie was saying, look at those charts. It's going crazy. Well, I will say there's some volume. There's a lot of volume. Actually, the most volume, at least on Coinbase, that Matic has had here in a little bit, here right at the end. So I'm wondering, is it just slowing down to pick up some more gas before it goes again? Is this, I know also if you're a Matic holder, you got your eyes fixed on that Ethereum 2.0 date that just got released for being September, I think it said 19th, maybe it was the 27th, September 27th. I'll have to go back and double check that exact date, but it's coming sooner rather than later. A lot of question marks, and I know some people have answers, but we won't know exactly what Matic Polygon does until we actually see ETH 2.0 come out. But, Frankie, I think, we're going to have to get you on again very, very soon. I love having you on.
Absolutely.
Every single time. You've been here, I think, a couple of times. So there's been some miscommunication between us, so I'm cleaning that up. But I love having you on here every single time. I think we have all of your links down in the description. If we do not, we will make sure to get them. But can you tell the people where they can find you and see more of your content?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can follow me or subscribe to my YouTube channel, Frankie Candles. And you can find me on all socials at Frankie_Candles. I go live every single weekday at 5:45 p.m. Eastern time. And then sometimes on the weekends if we have something crazy going on. But thank you, Tim, so much for having me on. I love coming on here and chatting with you.
No, I mean, just even wrapping up, Frankie is one of the up-and-coming hardest workers I have seen in this entire space. Not taking it away from anybody else. Frankie is just that hardworking. Make sure you go follow him and shout him out every single time you can. Hashtag the Candle Mafia, right? Candle Mafia. So
That's right.
If you guys are in chat, if you're Candle Mafia in chat, thank you so much for coming to watch us. We love you guys over here at Crypto Jebb. Frankie, I will see you again very soon, man.
I appreciate it, Tim. Thanks again for having me on. Hope to see you soon, man.
Yes, sir. Love Frankie, love Frankie. Well, we're gonna transition now. Had some more TA than we normally do, and that's what I love about getting people like Frankie on the channel. But let's transition into our conversation for today. And there's a news headline coming out from Senator Elizabeth Warren. And again, I have to reiterate, we're not related. Me and her, no relationship whatsoever. We just share the same last name.
Is that DNA confirmed that you're not related?
Well, at this point, can we trust any DNA coming from Elizabeth Warren? Because it gets... she 1 minute you think she's Native American,
All right.
Anyway, so, oh goodness gracious. Let me go ahead and pull up our article here. Elizabeth Warren, she is saying that Congress needs to act right now on crypto, says U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren. Before we get into the story, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm not a big Elizabeth Warren fan. I don't imagine many of you are either, but if you are, that is completely okay. I don't think that Elizabeth is incompetent. She clearly did a lot of things. She's worked very hard to get to the position she's in. I just happen to disagree with her on most every issue that comes up. But I actually kind of low-key agree with a lot of points she makes in this article. So scrolling through, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I highlighted some points that I do think are interesting. So when she was talking to Yahoo Finance on Monday, she said that Congress needs to act, but the SEC has a responsibility to use its authorities to put guardrails into place and crack down on crypto actors that break the rules. This is true. As much as we do not like regulation, as much as crypto people, cryptoites, whatever we call ourselves, as much as we hate the word regulation, it is very needed. And further on in this article, it talks more about why. But she goes on, she adds that too many crypto firms have been able to scam customers and leave ordinary investors holding the bag while insiders make off with their money. This is true. This is absolutely true. You guys have been watching. We've had several exchanges. We've had several scams go on in the market. And this is what we talked about over a year ago. This is why, and I'm not going to even say names of coins because I know there's a lot of coins out there that you guys love. I'm just going to leave it kind of anonymous. There are coins and projects out there that were created for no purpose whatsoever. And the problem with them is that they come out with a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. They get the everyday retail investor in. And then when the rug gets pulled and when the money leaves and when people lose it all, they begin to scream. And guess who comes to the aid of the screaming baby? The SEC and the government. So for anyone out there who's saying, hey, crypto needs to be unregulated, we need to let it be a free space, well, guess what? As long as we continue to adopt and utilize these projects that are actual rug pulls, and from the very beginning, they pretty much admit they're not here to accomplish anything. As long as we keep going down those paths and people keep getting burned by them, there will always be involvement of the U.S. government and the SEC to come in and regulate. And unfortunately, as much as I disagree with Elizabeth Warren that there should be regulation overall, the fact is you can't live in a fairy tale world where we talk about what things should be. You got to pay attention to what's actually happening. And unfortunately, there are millions of people losing millions, if not billions of dollars because there is no regulation. Scrolling down, she elaborated that DeFi is where regulation is effectively absent because she's, at this point, she's now talking about DeFi. DeFi is where regulation is effectively absent, and no surprise, it's where the scammers and the cheats and the swindlers mix among part-time investors and first-time crypto traders. So that's the end. I'm going to read, stop right there in the article. T-Shrimp, if there's anything else in that article you thought was significant, you can go back and look at that. However, let's kind of open up the discussion right there. As much as we don't like the concept of regulation, do you think Elizabeth Warren is right?
I do. I think she's right on this issue. But a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So I think that she's just been throwing out these headlines over the last 2 years, saying regulate crypto, and it hasn't been sticking. But this headline I think is sticking, and it's kind of hard to be wrong in this moment when regulating crypto, because even influencers like us have been calling for common sense regulation on crypto. The only thing that I would point out, if you go to my screen, was one of the first sentences. Elizabeth Warren is quoted as saying, or the article describes, she's calling on Congress and the SEC to take more assertive stance with crypto in light of recent high-profile insolvencies from lenders like, and then she goes ahead and lists them: Celsius, Vault, Voyager, and BlockFi. And it's interesting that Three Arrows Capital isn't listed here, but it's not a lender; it's a hedge fund. So, but I'm sure she has that one in mind as well. But she's coming out and listing them. Now, of course, she probably has aides, right, who are assisting her in this research, but she's looking credible with this. So, what's up?
No,
Something silly?
What you said was correct. It could have had two different meanings, but we'll carry on.
Well, we're all a little double entendre there.
Yeah.
With our bedhead, but one thing, yeah. So I agree with her. I think that we do need regulation in this space, and I would be willing to have a little bit of a debate with somebody who would disagree.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be. So why am I not like pure free market on this specific niche? Is because these. It goes back to the fire in the forest. The forest fire, controlled burn metaphor is like you want a free market as much as possible, but when the trees aren't burning themselves, if the scrub brush is just continuing to grow and grow and grow, it's harmful. And the longer it's able to grow, the more harm it's going to inflict. Now the scrub brush has burned, right? These well, they're not fully burned, but these names, Celsius, Vault, Voyager, BlockFi, they have largely burned to the ground in terms of their credibility. Luna, Three Arrows Capital in there with them as well. Also surprised she didn't include Luna in there.
Yeah.
But no, it's not a lender. So, but now is the time that we assess, okay, what is going on with this forest fire? What are some of the weeds? What are some of the different vegetation that we don't want to see grow back? What were some of the vegetation that was choking the trees that we do want to see grow, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, so on and so forth? And so that's what I'm hoping regulators do here, is that they hear Senator Warren's call. She's not the only one calling for this, but she's a high-ranking senator, and they act accordingly with some common sense crypto legislation. And hopefully, it's not something that interferes with the market in a negative way. So, Tim, I'd throw it to you. What are some ways that this could go wrong? What are some ways that legislation could go wrong in crypto and also in this more niche lending space?
So here's where I think people need to get at. And I know a lot of people are going to just say that every single politician out there is a snake in the weeds. They're just out there lying and cheating and selfish. And the truth is, there are a lot of politicians that are that way. The problem is that every single stance that has to be made, and this is something I've said for a long time, no matter where you stand on the political aisle, whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right, whether you're in the middle, wherever you are, the more and more that you just take someone's opinion that disagrees with you and say that that's absolute garbage, and you don't dig into it, and you don't try to find out what their narrative is, and you don't try to find out their reasoning, and you just go ahead and say it's evil, it's terrible, you will never solve any issues we have in this world because you refuse to see something from other people's eyes. So as much as I disagree with Elizabeth Warren on many issues, and I disagree with a lot of politicians, to be honest, I disagree with politicians on both sides of the aisle on many, many issues. I do have to get to a place where I can at least understand what they're trying to achieve. And so I'm not going to get into anything political here, but here's where I agree with her. There is a problem currently. There's a problem within the crypto space. And regulation at this point, like it or hate it or whatever you stand on it, we're going to need it. Because there are so many entities that will not get involved, that we need to get involved with crypto, that won't get involved until there's regulation. We need them to come in. And the second of all, it is, as much as it's easy, and I've heard people almost echo this, like, oh, those idiots fell for that scam, or, oh, they deserve to lose. And it's like, okay, I understand where you're trying to go, but I don't agree. I don't think anyone deserves solution money. I think people are uneducated and people are trying to get involved in the space. And rather than us saying that they're idiots, we should be teaching people more and more every single day how to protect their cryptocurrency and protect their future. The problem is, though, is that it is too big of a space and there is too many scammers. There are too many rug pulls. There are too many things out there that will hurt people that, unfortunately, at this point, I do think regulation is going to need to be involved to protect those people. The question is, what form of regulation? And that's where I think, as much as I agree with the sentiment that Elizabeth Warren said in this report, in this article, I'm absolutely positive that she's going to want to take this 10 steps farther than what we actually need to do. She is probably going to take this to a place where she's going to have the government very, very heavily regulate cryptocurrency to where they have their hands in everything that's going on, and that will be way too far. I'm not saying that I agree with Elizabeth Warren on what needs to happen in regulation. I do agree with her, though, that we should see it. And that's just like everything else. Like, I don't think anyone hears a story of a shooting at a school and says that something doesn't need to be done. What we differ on is what needs to be done, how far we need to go to get something done. But it's until you stop and listen to people's arguments and realize, hey, we have the same objective. We both want a similar end thing. We just have different routes of getting there. That's when you can actually finally start to work on things and actually come to real life decisions. So for anyone out there who's just like, oh, every politician out there is corrupt, you can't listen to a single thing they say, let's just fight them on everything. I don't know if that's the answer either. I think the answer is to listen to ideas, to find where our common ground is, and then to negotiate through it. And guess what? As many politicians out there that are hating crypto, I believe there's a lot out there that really love crypto. So it's all about finding who they are, making sure we're doing our job as citizens to be in contact with them, to fight for our rights, to fight for regulation that is good and clean and does not take it too far. But unfortunately, at this point, I've just crossed the barrier. Like anyone who's like, hey, we don't need regulation in crypto, I've kind of crossed that line. I've said, no, like we do need it. We need it because there's just too many evil people out there. The question is how much, and that's what I'm going to get involved with is, hey, let's get this regulation, but there is such a thing as too much, too far. That's kind of my thoughts on that whole story. Anything else you have, T-Shroom or Smay? I'd love to hear what Smay has to say about this story.
Yeah, no, I agree with the vast majority of everything you said there, Tim, but I am interested in getting the Turtle King's take.
Yeah.
I don't like regulation as much as the next guy. In
fact, you've been on record as saying it's a lot like a certain word.
It is. I'm on record saying that it is like the word moist. It just gives you shivers when people say, oh, moist, oh, regulation. Yeah, I mean, regulation's not fun. But at the end of the day, there is, it's more so to build trust for the majority, right? Me personally, I'm a very libertarian guy. I like as little government involvement, or at least as decentralized of governance as possible, right? So, but at the end of the day, if we want adoption to take place, I can't live in a fantasy world and imagine that like everyone's gonna want to get on board with this very Wild West type technology, right? Like the fact of the matter is people are going to want some kind of government assurance and security because not everyone thinks the way I think. So at the end of the day, having some regulation is a good way to help build some trust for the average Joe and be able to bring in more people in the space, which is at the end of the day more advantageous. Because the good thing is about Bitcoin is that it's built from the ground up, decentralized, right? It's built to be advantageous, even if there's a little bit of regulation that comes with it when it's adopted. So that's why it's ultimately advantageous, and it's ultimately, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of regulation. Now, when it becomes tyrannical, it becomes too much, then we all, we have our voice to be able to speak out against that. But I think there's like Tim said, there's concessions that need to be made. We need to be able to hear the other side, and we need to be able to make compromises to make sure that this system works for everybody.
I'm trying to find it, so I don't misquote it. But I think this is a good time to remember that quote from Friedrich Hayek. An Austrian economist who, not even knowing that crypto would ever exist, he won the Nobel Peace Prize back in the 80s, but he talked about fiat currency and he talked about our route to destroy it. And he talked about we need to somehow, as people, as the average everyday person, we need to come up with some form of currency, some sound, hard money that we don't rebel and we don't start this physical, violent revolution. We find a money that some sly roundabout way comes in, gets on the inside, and kills fiat currency. And again, I wish I found the exact quote. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. But what he's talking about, whether he knew it or not, is Bitcoin. And so this concept of let's fight regulation, let's stop regulation, that is not a sly roundabout way. That is being very vocal. That is being, I'm not saying don't vocalize frustration with the government, but I'm saying if you think that we cannot get Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies into the system of money and through a sly roundabout way get it infiltrated to where it disrupts the centralized authority, the centralized power, the weak money that has been ruling this world now for almost 100 years. If you don't think that's possible, you're just wrong. Bitcoin is so powerful. It is an unstoppable train. There's almost this thing of like it's like we need a Trojan horse it. Like, hey, whatever you guys need from us, let's get this regulation, let's get it in, let's get it used, let's get it into the system. Once inside, it will run its course. It is sound, strong money. Bitcoin does not care whether you are a poor person or a rich person. It will treat you the exact same way. It does not allow itself to have the centralized system actually control it. They can think that they're controlling it, but that's just not how it works. Like we were talking about with the whole Russia-India thing. They can do whatever they want to ban it. Guess what? They cannot stop their people within their country from using it. Now, they're probably using it illegally at that point because it's been banned, but that will not stop it. There is a scenario in which case we allow the regulation to come into the crypto space and we allow them to adopt crypto and we get the hands involved that we need to get involved. And then from there on out, it's like we're taking apart the system from the inside. That is not something we should fight. That is something that we should go with. And again, Friedrich Hayek, I don't know if he was a prophet or what, but he is literally describing, when he talks about the future of money and the only thing that can beat fiat currency and centralized power, he's describing Bitcoin. And for those reasons, again, I am not against the likes of Elizabeth Warren, who says that regulation needs to happen, but I will want to be there and I will have my voice heard when it comes to what that regulation looks like. With that being said, is there any other super chats, any other chat that we can engage in before we end today's show?
I haven't seen a ton, but there is one from JCast donating $5. Said, everything I had was on Voyager. Years of savings. I have no one to blame but myself. Yeah. Wow. So that's a, likely a reaction to the conversation here on the free market.
It's true. And I think that's good. I think every person should take responsibility of their own currency. What I'll say, though, is that at the same time, there are things that when you're uneducated and you're trying to get in the space, you can get pulled on. But, all the stories, even the stuff when it comes to how we're treating these exchanges like Celsius, like Voyager, there's a really good solution to that right now, and you can go get a cold wallet and start investing and making sure you're protecting your money yourself. And in case you guys are wondering where you can get one, there's a link in the description below for Ledger. It's a great cold wallet. It makes it so that no one can touch your money except for you. If you are somebody who's very concerned about the future and you agree with that chat, hey, I need to take responsibility over my own money, make sure that's what you do. And again, link in the description down below, go get it. But for every single person out there that doesn't understand what's happening, and unfortunately there still are a lot of them, until we can get to them and educate them on what to happen, we do want to protect them, because guess what? Even though those of us in this chat understand that any mistake we make is our responsibility, they will not understand that. And the problems of the few can ruin the good for the many. So if a couple people get screwed over and start screaming, Mother Government is going to come to their aid, and we want to protect that from happening, so that it's like, hey, let's continue to educate people, but also understand, hey, regulation is going to be needed just so that doesn't happen. Let's go ahead and make it clear right now up front what that regulation is so we can protect ourselves, so Mother Government doesn't come in and get their hands involved even more.
Yep,
anything else you saw in chat?
Yeah, we've got a couple. Okay. So Elliot Locke donated $5. News article suggesting traders are betting on a 1% rate hike, with the 0.7 being insinuated right now. What effect would be there if it was a 1%?
I mean, that would definitely put every commodity, that the stock market, the commodities, the crypto market. I know that, I thought that we would go down after that massive CPI number. The fact that we're going up, a little bit different. I was wrong on that. I'll admit that I was wrong on that. What I'm going back and looking at that chart that I showed you guys, the more significant times was when the Fed came out more hawkish. When the Fed came out and said there is a problem and we got to get a little aggressive with it, those are the times the price really dipped. Because even that 8.6 when we crashed right after the CPI number, what that was is the Fed a couple days later came out and said, yeah, we're in trouble. This is higher than we thought. So I think that the hope that the 9.1 number came out and the hope that the Fed wasn't going to have to be very hawkish, I think that's why we're rallying, and I think we're going to continue to rally here for a little bit. Again, I told you, there's if we can get over 23,000, there's not a lot stopping us from getting up closer to 30,000. And then when those numbers come out, or when more information comes out from the Fed that makes us believe that they're going 100. I think at this point, 75, you're kind of sitting on the fence of like 75 is semi-baked in. They're kind of expecting it. I think if they come out with a 100 basis point height rake, I said height rake again, didn't I? Rate hike. I caught myself on that one. I slowed myself down. If they come out with 100, that's when I think you're going to see another. I hesitate to say big crash, but I mean, it absolutely could be a very good sized dip / potentially at that point we could crash even farther. I still think no matter how high we get, I think there's going to be this mantra of for those whales and those institutions, when they miss the boat, they bring the boat back. It's when retail misses the boat that everyone says, all right, well, you just missed it.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you.
So my perspective on it is this is the most confident I've been in a rate hike, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be 75. The reason I say that is because we've had several of the folks, the Fed governors, come out and say that it would be an overreaction to do 100 basis points. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be 75. I think they're going to stay on course. They've been doing 75. You know, the historical precedent is that they find a number and stick with it. So we shall see. But we're still a decent amount of time out. The CME futures are kind of all over the place, still predicting 50 when at the end of last week, they were predicting 75. So
yeah, they keep bouncing back and forth.
I think that the CME credibility only increases the closer you get to the 27th, the day of the decision. But right now, it's kind of it's 75 in my opinion. I think it's pretty sure. So. But something could happen. There could be an event between now and then. We are going to be getting inflation data from both the EU and the UK in between then. So, you know, if it just depends. If inflation goes crazy over there, that could potentially influence the thinking of the Fed. Probably not, though, even that, because it's not part of our economy. All right, we've got another super chat here from Brad.
This will be the last one, then we'll wrap up.
Okay. From Brad Gable. I don't know that there's going to be a ton of commentary around this one.
Geidel?
So that's Brad Geidel.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours, so get that name right.
Geidel. Yeah, sorry, the font is very small here. Member for 10 months. Thanks for going here. Going here, I think is what he meant to say. Frankie Candles. Hashtag Candle Mafia. And then there was an actual question from Mike Merkel, or a more
that's
robust
Mike
comment.
Markle?
Yeah. I don't know why the font is so small today. Mike Markle said, member for 9 months, I've been plugging away at Club DeFi. I really appreciate that I'm growing so much while I stack my Satoshi. I feel really prepared moving forward. Don't lose sight of the end goal, everyone. Hashtag FinSov. Yeah. And I do apologize for those mispronunciations, but
all right. They know
it's
we
all
love
out of
them.
day's work.
We love them. We love Brad.
Did you know
Geidel
Brad
and Mike Markle?
Did you know Brad Geidel drives a Subaru? And I love Subarus, so shout out to Brad
You say that
Geidel.
every time his name comes up. Yeah. Love it. Well, guys, that's all we have for you today. I am so glad you guys joined us here at Coffee and Crypto Live. We will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, going away, what you should do. First, go follow Frankie Candles over there. He's fast-growing channel, hard-working guy. We love Frankie, so look forward to having him on the show again soon. And I think I'm going to be going on his show here again soon. I'll have to talk with him after the show. But go follow him. If you are worried about your money, go get a Ledger exchange, a Ledger wallet. I don't know why I said exchange. If you're worried about exchanges, go get a Ledger wallet. And if you want to be paid in Bitcoin, make sure you go get Hedge. All of that is down in the description.
Speaking of,
what?
There's a beautiful harmony between those two things, because you can put your wallet address
for your
ledger
right
into Hedge.
Yes, it's true.
So Hedge just automatically takes your pay, whoop, and then puts it in your ledger. Whoop, 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 whoop. Beautiful harmony, beautiful symbiotic relationship that you should invest in. Just so you guys know that this is not some kind of thing that we're just saying, oh, do this and we're not going to do it. I'm going to do this. So that's very exciting.
Real quick, T-Shirt, what's the afternoon video about today?
XRP.
We're doing an XRP video. So if you are an XRP fan, make sure you do not miss today's afternoon video. We're going to be analyzing a price prediction for XRP and saying whether or not we think it is a legitimate prediction or it is not. So don't miss it. With that being said, though, guys, that's all I have for you in today's video. I love each and every single last one of you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.